Hello again. So the wind's still beating me to death out here, so I got you back in the shop again to talk about my quilt and why I decided to go the quilt route instead of the mummy bag or any sleeping bag style system. Now, the reason I did decide to use a quilt instead of a mummy bag like some people do, I know quilts are starting to become more popular, which is good because that's how I found out about them. But with a quilt, you save quite a bit of weight because you don't have all the fabric and down that goes up and around your body, which really doesn't tend to do you a lot of good because down only works if it has loft. Same reason why in my previous video I was talking about the air in the pad helping keep insulated from the ground. Well, that's what the down inside your quilt is doing. All those tiny little feathers and how much they loft is what creates all the tiny little air pockets that slow down heat transfer. So the better the down and the higher fill of down, the more little tiny air pockets you've got to heat up before heat can escape. So it keeps the heat in and around you, and that's what keeps you warm at night. So that being said, if you're laying down on top of your sleeping bag and compressing all that down underneath you is not really doing any good, so there's really no need for it to be there. You've got to rely on your sleeping pad to keep the bottom part of you warm. So if you can eliminate that fabric and that down from underneath there, you eliminate quite a bit of weight. So I decided to give the quilt a shot, and I'm glad I did because I really like the way it sits on top of me. It kind of feels like I'm just sleeping in my bed at home. Except for the fact that it weighs almost nothing, and I'm used to sleeping with handmade quilts, which are pretty heavy, so it takes a little bit of time to get used to. Upon doing research on all the quilts on the market, of course I come across Enlightened equipment, which has made a huge name for itself in the backpacking industry, along with the Revelation quilt, which is the one I went with here. This is the 20-degree model. It's the regular length but wide width model. So this one weighs in at about 20.9 ounces, I think, something around there. It's kind of hard to weigh these on a digital scale. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know what sort of research to do when it came to going to a quilt, especially a down quilt. There's a lot of information out there, and they all tend to say about the same thing. Well, pay attention to what fill it is. Like this one is an 850 fill. You can get a 950 fill, which is going to keep you a little bit warmer. It's going to be more efficient at keeping you warmer, I guess I should say. Really, there were only a few numbers to look at if you're a numbers person in order to pick a quilt. So I went more for customer service and quality of product that I could find out there. And Enlightened Equipment's name just kept popping up everywhere. So I figured I'd give them a shot. Now, my particular Revelation was a pre-made model. I was really impatient and didn't want to wait for it to be made. They don't have a really long turnaround time, but when I buy the gear, I just want to get my hands on it. I'm sure a lot of you knows what I'm talking about. So I went ahead and decided to get their one that was already made. They had it in stock, the size and width that I wanted. So being that that's the route I went, I ended up with the 850 fill down. If I would have been patient and gone custom, I could have gone with the 950, but I really wasn't worried about it. So let's go over some of the features that this thing's got and reasons why I really like it. Now, depending on the temperature rating of your quilt, it will have a little bit different stats. I'm going to go over mainly the stats of my 20-degree quilt. If you want to look up the stats for the rest of the degree quilts, you can check out enlightenedequipment.com, and they have all the stats for all their quilts on their website. They have great information. It's all right in one place, so it's a really great website and a really great resource if you're trying to choose between one of their quilts. Although this quilt can open entirely and lay flat just like you would expect a quilt to do, it does have a really awesome feature of a 20-inch zipper at the foot box, meaning that you can zip it up and you can have a fully enclosed or almost fully enclosed foot box like you would in a mummy bag. But the difference is, on the Revelation specifically, it does still stay open on the end. They'd have a drawstring so that you can draw it down and get it as tight as possible to keep the air from escaping and make sure everything stays nice and toasty in your toe box. But for this particular quilt, it does have the open toe box. They do have another quilt that I'm not positive of the name that I think has almost all the same specs of the Revelation, but it does not have an open-ended toe box. It has a fully enclosed toe box. So if that's what you're mainly worried about, check that out because that's a pretty cool setup. If you get really cold feet at night, that thing is going to be awesome because you can still have the full benefits of a quilt instead of a mummy bag, yet you get the fully enclosed toe box. So it's a great combination of the two. Now, one of my favorite options of this quilt is the two elastic straps that come along with all of them. They clip to either side of your quilt, and they will strap down to any pad from your average size pads. So like, I think your average size pads are 20 and 25 inches wide. So they will attach to those pads. The top strap will go all the way around your pad, securing everything in place, and the bottom strap just simply goes under the bottom of it to keep it from sliding back and forth. The very first time I took this quilt out to use it, I lost those straps. I had them packed down in the Lycra part of my front pad on my pack, and shuffling stuff around, I dropped them in the woods somewhere before I ever even got a chance to use them. So all night long, my quilt was kind of sliding off of me. I'd have to wake up and put it back on top of me, because between my Apex jacket and my slick quilt, it was just sliding right off. So definitely recommend not losing your straps and being able to use the full benefits of that. Now, that being said, they do offer the straps on their website, which I called and ordered them. Well, I called because I couldn't find them online, and as I was waiting, I found them online. But the guy still talked to me for a few minutes. He was a really nice guy. So I ordered those for $3. It was free shipping. Definitely worth the $3 to get my straps back and actually get a chance to use them. What these straps do is there are little clips on the straps, and there are little matching clips, or opposing clips, I suppose, on your quilt that will snap your quilt to your sleeping pad and allow you to keep it from shifting back and forth. The best way I found to get into it is strap the bottom strap, keep it clipped since it doesn't actually grab a hold of your pad like the top one does. Crawl onto your pad, and then you can clip the other strap down when you get in because it's attached to your pad, and you can just grab it and pop it right on. It's a really cool system, and it really does keep your quilt from sliding all around. It keeps it tucked right up nicely against your sleeping pad so that you get minimal heat loss throughout the night. In case you're worried about the quilt sitting flat around your head and being able to flop, and air just being able to escape, heat being able to escape right out beside your head, they do have a snap and drawstring set up on the top of the quilt. So what you do is you just climb in, snap that thing behind your head, and then you can pull the drawstring, which is right there in front of your face, so it brings it all nice and tight around your shoulders, and almost no heat can escape. The thing gets super, super warm. In case some of you are worried about not having a hood like you would on a mummy bag, since this thing is a quilt, it has no hood. I generally tend to just wear my Apex jacket if it is cold enough to need that, and it's cold enough to need the hood. I find that if I just put my hood from my Apex on, cinch that neck down around my shoulders, and that works perfectly fine for me. These quilts do have U-shaped baffles sewn into them. These baffles hold the down in place, and the U-shape really helps in keeping the down in the right place all night long. Because of the shape of the baffles, the down can't fall over to one side, or it can't pull all up next to your neck, or it can't fall all the way down to your feet. I don't necessarily know that head or foot is a problem, but I have seen where quilts or bags that just have horizontal baffles, the down will just fall down to the sides over time. So this is a really cool design to make sure that that down, even when it does get a little older, stays in the right spot. Now, from what I can tell, their pre-made selections are color-coded. So the fact that I got the 20-degree pre-made quilt, it is 10D navy-colored nylon on the outside and 10D charcoal-colored nylon on the inside. I think that there are 4 different colors for the 10, 20, 30, and 40 degree if you buy the pre-made models. Otherwise, if you do custom, they have an insane amount of options and color combinations that you can do, fill combinations. So it's really cool, it's really versatile. It's good for people like me who just want to buy it, grab it, go, and really good for people who want to really dial in what they're doing. They don't mind waiting as long as they need to wait, and they can make it look exactly how they want it to look. So it's a really cool, versatile company. Like most bags, this quilt is a half tapered design. That is, 1, to mimic the shape of your body, but 2, it does help save weight because they don't have to make the full width at the toe that they'll make at the shoulders in order for it to fit you correctly. So you save some material and you save some weight. Now, as I mentioned before, this being the pre-made model, it is filled with the 850 0 PFC down. This down is also treated with Down Tech. What the Down Tech does is help the down resist moisture and help it dry out a little faster if it does actually end up getting wet. I think that is becoming more standard in the market of using down. Now, you really don't want to get it wet, because if you do get down wet, it will clump up, then ball up, and you'll lose all those tiny little air pockets I was talking about, and you'll lose most of its insulation property. It'll almost become useless as far as insulation. But that's only while it's wet. You can dry it out, fluff it back up, and it's not completely damaged, but it won't work for you right that second. So if you have a wet down quilt or bag, it's not going to do you very good overnight. So this stuff tries to help a little bit on the moisture side and help it dry out a little bit faster so that you don't have those situations as often in the backcountry. Another really cool thing about this product is if you get the 10 degree or 20 degree quilt, they are handmade in Winona, Minnesota. I don't know why I can't say Winona, Minnesota run together, but that's pretty cool. I really like it when things are handmade. I'm real big into the handmade products, and I will definitely pay a little bit more to get it that way. I really feel like more time and effort is put in when someone is sitting there making it so they can actually see what's happening, and I just feel like you get better quality control in that situation. Make sure you have a really good, well-made piece of gear when you're out in the backcountry is very important. It's very important to me, and I would imagine it's very important to anybody else who's out there too. So when you buy the Revelation, it comes with a Sil nylon stuff sack. The weights vary depending on the size because they have so many size options. I'm not actually going to use that. I'm using a different style stuff sack, but it does come with it. It comes with this 100% cotton storage bag, which is really cool for a lot of reasons. One, it's big enough that you can make sure you pack it properly. It's got enough room to stay fluffy. It also comes with care instructions printed on the bag, which is pretty cool because if you ever forget how you're supposed to wash it, it's right there on the storage bag. Quilt's not going to be for everybody. Just like my Ultras weren't good for my wife, Quilt's probably not good for her either. She gets really, really cold at night. Her body just expels all the heat that she has. So she feels like she would need to have, or at least just for the mental comfort, she would need to have a mummy bag pulled up around her all night. And that's totally fine. It's a personal preference, just like almost any piece of backpacking equipment is personal preference. But for me, I think this is going to be a really good way to go, especially considering that I'm going on a through hike. The lighter I can get things, the better. I'm not incredibly worried about my pack weight. Obviously, lighter is better, but I'm a big guy and I can carry quite a bit of weight without really noticing. So I'm not too worried about it, but one, it's really fun to play with the gear. So if you can get really good quality gear that's lighter, it's kind of just a no-brainer. So even though I'm not really overwhelmed about pack weight, I'm still trying to keep it as low as I can get it while getting everything I want inside my pack, and I think I've done pretty good with that. This quilt really helps with that, being only 20 ounces for the entire quilt. And it packs down quite nicely, so it does everything I need it to do, and so I think it'll be great to carry along the PCT. As with any of the gear I talk about, there are so many points to go over. You can even get down to the stitching on it if you really want to, and the thread that they use, the thread patterns they use, but I don't know all of those things. So if you're really, really interested in all of that information, I'm sure you could contact Enlightened Equipment, and I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. They, in the very, very quick interactions I've had with them, they've been very, very cool people. So it's really nice to have a company that you can actually call, talk to about their product. They're more than happy to tell you anything you want to know and help you choose the right piece of gear for you. So all that being said, if I missed something here and you want more information, head on over to enlightenedequipment.com and check out all their reference information, or you could give them a call and they could probably answer any questions that you have. But I think that's all I've got for you guys today. If you like the videos I've been putting up here on YouTube, or you just want to follow me along on my PCT adventure that starts next month, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and follow along. Until next time.